tell me more about these homeless charities.
I don't know why I chose to do homeless, or why I chose to cater to homeless people, but I feel like, and maybe that's on my list for America, but I think I'm gonna join like 2 charities. I don't think they'll be homeless related. I just want the background of people in them and how they got up in that specific area.
That's exactly what I was thinking with this idea of the film, which is to kind of go around London and document stories. And I've been watching a lot about people in shelters. I've even just been watching a lot about random videos where this guy, he does something called the Visible People, which is literally a channel dedicated to going around different areas, either London or New York or different places, and hearing their stories. Yeah, he's done it internationally, which is quite impressive. I think it's got only about 14,000 subscribers, but really effective. He does one in London, and it's about this girl. It's only 2 minutes long, but she tells the story how she became homeless and how she wants to be a writer, a fiction writer one day, and how she writes every day. And she was in hospital for the last 3 weeks, so she got a lot of writing done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where it came from. And then I thought, if I go interrailing, I could spend a small portion of that time speaking to homeless people, because I remember when I was in Hungary, for a very short period of time, they have these 24-hour metros. The stations are open.
Meaning the train.
Train, yeah. I mean, the stations are open for 24 hours. The trains aren't 24 hours in terms of running.
Yeah.
But you go in an underpass in Hungary, and no joke, I would say at least 100, 200 people are just lying in a metro subway station, and it's scary. It looks like something out of a World War II movie, like a row of lifeless bodies, and it's really scary how many people go there for heat, for warmth.
And I feel like a lot of them live there as well.
They do. They effectively live there. During the day, obviously, where there's tourists, no one... Well, in Budapest, I'm speaking about Budapest mainly, you see a lot of homeless, but they're kind of scattered around. But because of that 24-hour metro, they're allowed to sleep in the station. But Rome is where I got the sharpest shock. In Rome, I barely saw any homeless people. But at night, oh my god, especially at a place called Termini Station, that is where you see the most homeless.
Termini Station?
Termini Station is like a large train station in Rome. Outside Termini Station, and outside many places, there were so many homeless people, hundreds. And they were sleeping outside, and the saddest thing about it was you would see people of all ages, especially elderly people, and they would like put bits of cardboard to stop the wind from getting into their sleeping bags. A lot of them didn't even have sleeping bags. A lot of them were sleeping on top of each other, and they were using cardboard to keep warm. And I felt so bad. I mean, I had a jacket and a jumper, and I thought, wow, if I'm getting cold in this wind, imagine how they're feeling. And I just really didn't know what to do. I mean, I felt awful. It was in the middle of the night, so me and Nabil came back either from a jazz club or from an actual club on different days. We did a lot of the touristy stuff during the day, and I didn't realise the level of homelessness. No one talks about it as well.
Yeah, I think it just goes... It's overlooked big time, man. It's just overlooked big time. It doesn't matter where you go, where you're always going to find, homeless people everywhere.
It's true, and I think their story is so important.
Yeah, but you know what? Like everything else in life, people, they rinse out a topic. It's not even rinsing out the topic, but let's use those that pretend to be homeless for a while. Because of the pretense, and so many people are aware that, this person might not be, they might be robbing your money. You see people that rob buy them food and hand them money. And then for that person to turn on the food, it's like you're not that desperate, and that kind of brushes off on you, and you feel like all homeless people are like that. And then the population just increases.
There's a lot of misconceptions about homelessness. And I think, the saddest thing in a way about homelessness is you get a lot of people who say things like, well, there are a lot of scam artists. But let me be honest, even if you are a scam artist, even if you are someone that isn't necessarily homeless, if you are so desperate to raise revenue to spend 9 to 10 hours of your day in the cold, dressed like dirt, to raise a few, what will most likely be a few pounds, then you're truly desperate. No, that's not a scam. That is true desperation.
That's the truth.
I mean, if you were a scam artist, you would sell knockoff goods. You would do things that are a lot more lucrative. But people think they make so much money, but they don't, unless you're employing hundreds of people to collect money for you. But even then, that's a very inefficient form of operating a scam. It's really sad. I mean, one thing at SOAS is one of the universities. They have something called the Hare Krishnas.
Yeah.
And they give out free food. So whenever I see a homeless person in the area, I usually buy them a sandwich or something. I don't buy I walk past a lot of homeless people and don't give them anything, and I feel bad. But in that particular area, the most I can do is I can just tell them, by the way, there's a queue for free food from this time to this time.
Yeah, okay.
And I feel that's actually the best source of help, because I know that I've just given them a place where they can get free food reliably, not like a homeless shelter where it may be too full.
Yeah.
But in this particular queue, yes, the queue is long. You might be waiting in there for 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I used to use the queue myself because the food is decent. But I know reliably that I've just given them a place to get food free at the point of use for 6 days a week. And that's much better than any meal deal I get from Tesco or any pound that I put in their Starbucks coffee cup. So, you know, it is tough. It is a difficult issue. I think homeless people are treated with a lot of contempt. I know in Brighton there were so many homeless people, and hearing their stories was really interesting. I thought, just to make a small film about it.
Like that time me and you bumped into the dude.
That was probably one of the most memorable times. And when we played music for him and listening to how he used to have a place in London and look after his ill sister.
Because I feel like sometimes people just want to be heard.
Yeah, of course. And
giving them your time is enough.
And the most beautiful thing about that story was he just wanted someone to speak to him. I remember he asked us initially if we had alcohol, if we had a lighter. When we said no to both, then he kind of just started making conversation. And when we were responsive, he made it clear that he just wanted company.
Yeah.
He is a human being. And the funny thing is, as much as I've looked online, I mean, there are lots of, social experiments on homelessness, and there's documentaries, but I felt it would be nice if...
It's so strange because the people behind it, you don't even know how kind of intentional or genuine they are.
Exactly.
Because we all pretend, we're saints at time, but it's like...
Yeah.
To what cause? To what
extent?
Mean,
there's always a bit of a vanity project. Sometimes people make videos and things and they think, oh, who'll see this? But I've genuinely, for a while now, wanted to, more than the video. Yeah. Because let's be real, if I made a video, maybe how many people are going to say it? 300 max? They might be more popular than that, but I'm saying if it's about a genuine issue.
You know the thing with homelessness as well, I think one of the reasons I want to target is it's because it's the root of a lot of different things. It's like the root of evil for me. It's like when you're homeless, you feel like, okay, I gotta go out my way to make money. Does that make sense? Because I need to get out of this situation. Yes. And before you know it, there you are doing prostitution. Yeah. Do you feel what I'm saying?
I know what you mean.
So there you are, suddenly you're taking up drug problems or alcohol problems because you start to mingle with other homeless people and you feel like, okay, that will mellow the pain in some way. Yeah. And it's like you never know. And
it has so many issues attached to it.
There you go. And I feel like for a lot of people that's where it starts because you don't know. Some of them, they've gotten kicked out of their homes. And it's like some of them are actual teens and you don't know the reason.
You'd have no idea why. And there are a lot of, there's one interesting documentary on a very famous Cambridge educated journalist who develops a mental illness, eventually divorces his wife as a result and becomes homeless. And there have been very famous cases of people like doctors, people who are educated at a very high level. They also lose their homes for one reason or another. Either there are a lot of people that became homeless after the subprime mortgage crisis in America. They couldn't afford their mortgages anymore. The financial system crashed. They lost all their investments.
And the banks are so cruel.
The banks are cruel. I mean, it's harsh. I think
you know that's another
people
thing.
need to speak about it more.
But that's another thing you learn in this world. Business is business.
Mm.
And to a lot of business, like, you know, when I was working, let's say, in a certain store,
Yes.
we were chucking away so much sandwiches. I'm talking like £300 worth of sandwiches, £600. You just never know. And it's so strange because, you know, everybody had that issue at first, you know, why don't we give it to charity, blah, blah. But you will hear stories like, oh, yeah, you know, once upon a time we did give it to charity, but somebody came down with food poisoning and blah, blah.
That is
because
such
we
a
have rules
false
and regulations.
reason why
But
they do that.
And it's so silly because then you feel like, okay, so wait, we should chuck away 600 worth of sandwiches just so your brand don't get tarnished. We understand that, but if we're giving it to charity, surely you like have some type of contract that, you know, kind of says you're freed from